We really hope you like this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe to get more content like this. Hi, Sean McLoughlin. Welcome to the Need to Know Comedy Show. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Ireland. I'm in Ireland, and it looks like we're going into a full lockdown from midnight tonight. So it's going to be.
Oh, is it? Is midnight tonight?
Well, probably. They haven't made an announcement, but the level 3 was not working, so they're going to go to level 4 or 5. I don't know what that means. Yeah. That probably means just stay in. So I gigged with you in Brussels, the Slaughtered Lamb, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we've done a couple there. Is that right? I've only done that. I think I've done that gig 3 times, and twice it's been with you. But they were like 4 or 5 years apart, maybe. So maybe you didn't remember the first one.
Oh yeah, no.
Or maybe I'm misremembering.
I do remember. So, Sean, do you have a very Irish name? Do you have an Irish parent or?
Yeah, on my dad's side, I'm Irish. And both his parents were Irish, but they were the sort of London Irish. The grandparents emigrated over, and my dad was born in the 50s, and it was in Acton, and sort of the sort of Acton Cricklewood Irish connection was all that. But they didn't mess around, man. Sean Joseph Patrick McLoughlin is the name, so they didn't. They didn't beat around the bush. I think I don't know if they ever hoped I'd go back to the motherland, but pretty Irish.
Yeah, name wise, definitely. Did you do anything? Were you made to do anything very Irish growing up, like dancing or singing Irish songs?
I'll tell you what, my sister did Irish dancing for years.
Oh,
my sister did it for years. I don't think she was made to. I mean, I don't think it was under duress. But I played the violin as a kid because there was just one. I think there was just one hanging around, and then we were offered lessons in the school, and my dad he pounced on that. You know.
Yeah.
I think basically anything remotely Irish that I was anything remotely Irish that could have been done in Brighton, we were encouraged to do. Like, if there was a local Gaelic football team, I would have joined it, I'm sure.
Right, yeah. This is the weird thing though about immigrant families. They do, like, I didn't do any Irish dancing. There's no way I would have done it growing up.
Yeah.
But like in immigrant families, they kind of sometimes do more Irish things than actual Irish people do.
100%. It's crazy that's what people say, isn't it? There's no one more Irish than an Irish person who doesn't live in Ireland anymore. And I think it's the same for all those countries, you know.
Yeah, America as well. So you grew up in did you say Brighton? Was it?
Yeah.
And then how long have you been doing stand-up?
Long time. About I started when I was at uni. So it's about 1920, and I'm now 32. So yeah, about 12 years, something like that. But I started, I think I was 21. I graduated from university when I started properly going for it.
Right. Where was university?
I went to Newcastle Uni. Yeah, great city, that. Really great city. But I went up there partly because I was like, oh, maybe I'll try and do comedy or do something creative. But there was absolutely nothing going on up there when I was there. It was just like it's like a wasteland. But yeah, that's how long I've been doing it. 12 years. And I wonder if I've got 12 years left ahead of me, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, you've done really well. But so when you started in Newcastle, was it just in the university? Were you doing gigs in the university? Was it?
No. I was doing proper gigs, which I'm really grateful for, because there was no university like comedy society. There were no uni gigs. It was it was like a sort of weird comedy backwater. Like, this is before the Standard opened up there, so there was no real full-time comedy club. I think the Hyena was still going. I don't know if you ever played that, but it was
I played the Hyena. I mean, back in the day, that was a renowned club.
Yeah, I think it was sort of on its last legs at this point. So this was sort of 2008, 2009. I mean, it was still going, but it wasn't like it was a nurturing environment, the Hyena. I mean, it was sort of notorious for being just a bunch of. It was just a place where people went to fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But I got to, but I got to go up to Edinburgh a few times, and I used to get the train over to Manchester, and there was stuff going on in Yorkshire, and I think the north of England is probably as good a place to start doing stand-up as anywhere, because there's so many gigs. There's not that many comedians, certainly compared to other places. I don't know if you find that. I don't know if you've done much in the UK beyond the big ones.
No, I used to, and then when then when I started getting enough work in Ireland, I didn't.
So, yeah, fuck it. Why the hell would you come here if you don't have to? Like, why?
Where I could just drive to gigs instead of flying, yeah. But I used to, and like up north was easier for me with an accent. I didn't have to slow down as much. I don't have a very strong Irish accent, but I did find sometimes in the more southern you go, that I'd have to slow down a little bit.
There's definitely a thing. There's definitely that divide. I mean, I don't feel it as badly as some acts feel it. But there's definitely a north-south thing in comedy. I never really noticed it until other people started commenting on it. I guess because I started out in the north of England. But I think a lot of northern acts feel like southern audiences don't get them. A lot of southern acts don't feel that northern audiences get them.
Yeah. I mean, I just thought I had to slow down. Or some words I used. Sometimes they didn't quite get, but it wasn't the material as such. I don't think it was more the speed of the delivery.
yeah, totally.
So
what's going on in Irish comedy? Have there been gigs going on? Is the scene back at all?
No, not really. It was for not the scene wasn't back, but I did a few gigs in Galway and Limerick during the August. It kind of opened up a little bit. There were some gigs that were socially distant gigs as well. It's really weird. Like you had to wear a mask. I know I had one gig. I had to put a mask on my way to the stage, and then take it off. And then there were like mics, so the MC would wipe the microphone and hand it to me. So
yeah.
Very awkward and a bit.
I've done a couple of those. I mean, it's mad how it still works, isn't it? There's such a desire amongst comedians and audiences for the thing to go ahead. That you'll put up. Yeah. I think if audiences can put up with this, they'll put up with fucking anything. I think.
Yeah. In fact, I thought audiences are far more really into the gig, just because it was just been ages since they've been to a live event.
Oh, 100%. I honestly, the first 6 weeks I had back gigging it gave me such a false confidence in my own beliefs, because I'd had 5 months off a stage or 6 months off a stage, and I come back, I'm like, am I like Richard Pryor fucking resurrected here? And then I did a show in Nottingham a few weeks ago, and it was a Saturday night gig, and it was indoors, and it was very spaced out, it was all safe. And I remember about halfway through, and I was having a good gig. I wasn't tearing the roof off, but it was going fine. A guy near the back just shouted, "Boring." I thought, the sheen has gone off. People are too used to comedy again that they're ready to not enjoy it. It's funny that.
Yeah, but your act kind of it's a bit self-deprecating, isn't it? I mean.
Yeah, very. Yeah. I mean, I think it kind of works in. I think my act works in times of carnage. I feel like the public have been dragged down to my level. Everyone's kind of feeling a bit sorry for themselves, so maybe it works a bit better.
Well, I mean, I'd just say if somebody heckled you, you'd probably agree with them. That would be your.
Well, this guy, I actually didn't. I have to say,
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. But it was just like there were a few drunk twats at the gig, and it had been so long since gigs had allowed those sort of people in. Maybe it will be good for stand-up if we just constantly go in and out of lockdown for the next 50 years. Because every time we come out, the audiences will love it again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had a bit of that as well at one gig, but the drunk twats, that is. Because people aren't allowed out, and that's another angle as well. They're not allowed, so they get out to the pub and they just start whacking down drinks. as if, oh, this is the last time I'm going to ever drink in a pub. But when did you do your first Edinburgh show?
I did my first solo show in 2013.
Right.
Which is a while ago. I mean, you have these chats and you realise, fuck, I should have done more by now. Like, but I did solo shows in 2013 to 2018. I did every year. So it was 5 years, 6 years in a row. Loved it.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to write then? When did you start writing the show? Before August? You'd start maybe January, is it? Or before that?
I guess so. I mean, I'd sort of start doing new material spots. I always like to think I was doing it kind of from September, but really from about January is when I think you can start. I always felt like, Edinburgh's in August, the festival, and that you can really see it. It's in the same calendar year. That focuses the mind a bit. But one of the things I was saddest about was not doing Edinburgh this year. Not being able to go, because I missed it last year. I took the year off and I was so ready to go back, and I had 2 years to write a show for the first time. And so, I hope the festival doesn't take too much of a hit with all this, because it's a pretty great thing. I mean, you go up there, you've been up there.
Yeah, I did. I wasn't going to do actually this year, but I did the last 2 years. And yes, I love it. And the great thing about it is, well, it forces, for me, because I'm a procrastinator, it forced me to write. And, and then over the month or whatever it is, 28 days, because I probably haven't got the show totally right. Absolutely not, actually. Over that 4 weeks, I'm writing as well,
Yeah. I think it's such an amazing thing. I guess. I mean, this is probably for all of us. We didn't really appreciate how unique and amazing the Edinburgh Fringe was until there's now the chance that it will go away. I mean, who knows when it will be back to what it was? Because it's just an insane, it's indescribable to people. Like, how could you even sum up what it feels like when you're on those streets and when all the shows happening around you, all the enjoyment, 24 hours a day?
It is quite amazing, to just focus on your act. Every day you have your full show, then you've got a few 20-minute spots, and just be totally focused on that. And it's beautiful. I love Edinburgh. And just walking through the meadows to your show. It's lovely. Yeah,
it is. It's one of the best cities in Europe, and it's one of the greatest events in the world. And God, I wonder. I hope it all goes ahead next year, and I have no idea. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I hope there's a vaccine, and then we should be okay. I think.
They should get off their arse and fucking do that. Actually, they should sort one out.
For the sake of the Edinburgh Festival, at least.
For God, I mean, what's the hold up here, guys?
Yeah, I know. Frontline workers, I believe we are doing comedy. So get us our vaccine.
Totally, yeah.
And as I was going to say there, did you have a theme to every Edinburgh show?
I never had no, not really. I usually tried to see what linked all the material, and so there was more like there was a through line, and you'd hope that the thing would kind of reach a crescendo at the end. But I never set out to say this is a show about sandwiches or whatever. But maybe I should have done. Sandwiches are very popular.
It's a hot topic.
But no, some people find it really easy to write to a theme. But I always just try to write stand up and write jokes, and then sort of build the show, make it bigger on top of that.
And in every show, have you done stand up purely? Have you brought in anything else like slides or music or anything?
Never. I always wanted to, but I was always too. I just didn't have the bottle for it. I think it was like the first time you do it. It takes me so long to get a bit of material up and ready. And And this, you know, my hit rate it's all over the place in terms of when I write stuff. I genuinely have no idea. And so I think I just find it mentally a lot easier to write the jokes, and then at least I know whether they work or not. And it's not taking me, 2 weeks to prepare all these slides. And then immediately I found out that it's all a bunch of crap. I wish I did, though. It's a great way of breaking it up. But I suppose as a pure stand-up, and then you go back onto the clubs and you've got all this new stand-up material because of Edinburgh. There's a
absolutely. I mean, pure stand-up is the best way, and also, yes, if you bring all these ideas into an Edinburgh show, well, you can't really do that on the scene. You can't be turning up at a comedy club with your projector and a.
That's the thing, and I still think that's. I mean, people like us who just do stand up, and we. I mean, I don't know what you've done. I mean, every time I've seen you've just been doing
the guitar.
You've just been, yeah. But it's just so much easier for us to fit in and get a bit of work, I think, because it's just jokes, isn't it?
It's fucking amazing, because I was in a band like in my early 20s, and just the whole thing of arriving with loads of gear and setting it up and then having to take it all down after the gig and pack away a van, compared to being a stand-up comedian, you just arrive like, there's no sound check,
No. We don't even need microphones half the time.
Yeah. Or compared to doing theatre as well, almost any other art form. There's no art form where you just turn up.
Yeah.
And you just walk on and do whatever you do.
Well, that's one thing actually about stand-up in terms of, I don't know I'm sure the situation is the same in Ireland. It's the same anywhere. It's all the cultural things, all the performing arts are taking such a hit, and there's such a movement, and no one really knows how to protect everything. And comedy is taking a huge hit, and it's sad that, because we've lost a lot. But comedy is also probably the easiest one to come back, because really we don't need as much. We don't need those overheads. We don't need all that time. You can't do opera over Zoom. It's one of the benefits of being a comic is you can, as soon as bars are open, comedy's back.
Yeah,
it's harder for plays and for ballets and things like that.
No, you can't turn up and just do a ballet in a corner of a pub. Right?
No, I don't know. Maybe no one's ever tried. Maybe it would be a big hit.
All right, yeah. And there was a big controversy about this ad in. What was that ad? There was a ballerina, and the ad was maybe she should retrain or something.
Oh, yeah, that was it. It was. I mean, I don't really follow it. I've tried to kind of keep my distance away from all the social media firestorm stuff to do with all this. But there was an advert that the government had put out semi-recently. I don't even think it was for the lockdown, but it was in the last year about, and it was a ballerina, and they said, Fatima's next job is in cyber. She doesn't know it yet. And I guess it was basically the government were kind of encouraging people to retrain. I mean, that's been a big theme of this whole period of the arts shutting down, is the government encouraging writers and comedians and performers to retrain. And then this advert sort of came about and was sort of publicized at exactly the worst time, when people were feeling like their livelihoods were being threatened, and industries are being threatened, and then the government's going, well, I'll just get a job at IT. Who cares?
Yeah, but the mad thing is that is like, it's like every job people are supposed to retrain in IT. Like every miners are truck drivers.
Yeah.
So many people doing IT, which is IT is the one place where also they'll be losing jobs, because computers will be getting more intelligent and able to do more stuff.
Yeah.
So basically it's a load of bollocks. And what should happen is we all get a universal wage.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised that that's not being talked about more. I mean, I don't know loads about it, but the idea of, I mean, I think being a comedian, or at least being a creative, it felt like actually you had one of the one of the most future-proof jobs because AI couldn't just take it over, or at least not as easily. I mean, I'd like to think not. Whereas almost anything else is going to be, everything else is going to be done by machines in 30 years.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think you could have a robot comedian. Probably on a cruise ship, I think you could have a robot comedian.
Probably. They would love it. There'd be standing ovations every night.
Absolutely. And he'd sit at the captain's table every night, this robot.
He'd love that. He'd get his glass of oil. He'd have a great time.
I think it's the way. I'm serious. It is the way forward. There was this guy. What was his name? Yang, who ran for the Democrat nomination. And his whole thing is that there has to be a universal wage. If there isn't, there's going to be riots when so many people lose jobs. There'll be.
Well, it does feel inevitable. Like I think some countries have started bringing it in. I say it's always countries like Finland. You know, you always go, well, what are we going to do with that? I mean, of course they've brought it in. I can't leave the house 6 months a year.
Yeah.
There's always a few countries that are like outliers. Like I remember when Portugal was decriminalized every drug.
Yeah. And
then they said to the rest of the world, this works. If we do this, you'll make more money and there'll be less drug problems. And I think no one has listened. So it probably will happen, but it'll probably take twice as long as it should take.
Yeah, it's not a vote winner. This is the worst thing about the democracy, is that something like saying make drugs illegal or give people free money, it's just not a vote winner. I don't know why. Why that should be a vote winner.
I mean,
free drugs and money should be a vote winner. Our thumb
is just not on the pulse. But I just keep thinking, what is wrong with you people? They're going to give you free money.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a conversation? It feels like Ireland, it might be it feels like it will happen sooner there than it would certainly here. Is it a conversation that's had at all over there in terms of?
No, I don't think that's a conversation.
Basic income or anything like that?
Ireland doesn't have a strong left-wing party. I mean, the two main parties are basically, they came about from the, when we got independence. One of them basically said, no, we must have a united Ireland. We're not accepting independence without all of Ireland. And the other one accepted independence.
Yeah.
Just leaving Northern Ireland out. And that's how those two parties started. It wasn't nothing to do with left and right, you know?
Yeah.
And so we don't really have a strong, we have possibly now Sinn Féin, but then they've got that very bad history of being...
They've got a lot of baggage. Lot of baggage. Yeah. There must be such a hunger there to start. And I mean, you should just start a new one. You'd be great.
Yeah.
You've got your first two policies down.
Yeah. I think
you got the platform. I mean, go for it.
Right. Okay. Well, straight after this interview, I've got my manifesto: free drugs for money. Yeah. So I've looked at you're so self-deprecating. You're telling me like, oh yeah, you should have done more. You've toured with like Ricky Gervais, right?
Yeah. We were on tour. Yeah, we were on his current tour. I was the main tour support, which is and then I did a bit of stuff on the last one when Doc Brown couldn't. Right. Great. Best job I'll ever have. That.
Yeah, and did you do an international tour as well?
Yeah, we were doing the European ones. We were set to do North America. We might. I mean, who knows whether that ends up happening. But yeah, I got to go to a lot of cool places. Very lucky, and yeah, he's a great guy. He's a good guy to work with. And also, I do think it's. Have you done much tour support? Have you done any?
I've supported a guy who's really big in Ireland, and I toured Ireland constantly with him.
Yeah,
and it's interesting. Look, Ricky Gervais would be a great his audience would be quite. I opened for a guy whose audience would be far more conservative.
Okay.
So, I packed houses, but sometimes I offended them. Yeah.
Well, that'll happen.
Yeah.
That'll happen when you're talking about free drugs and free money.
Yeah.
I find with tour support, it's I think it's the most amount of glory you get in relation to the least amount of work. Like you do 20 minutes, which I do anyway.
Yeah.
I do, I'll do that any night.
Mm.
And you turn up and you do the 20, and it is, some of those shows are big shows, and there is a skill to like pacing the set a certain way, and I have had to really learn how to do it because you do have to take a step up. But once you've made,
you think because the laughs are bigger. Sorry, if you're in a bigger arena, the laughs last longer, and you've got to kind of pace yourself differently. Is that what you?
Yeah, they do last longer, but also the silences last longer. Everything lasts longer. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just a different skill. But once you've got it, it's a dream because I get to turn up, do my set, do my thing, and then and then I leave, and then I get to be in this amazing venue and, see this great comedian, or, some of the places we went to some countries I never thought I'd ever go to. And I feel lucky. I feel really lucky. Amazing, who knows? Yeah. I mean, who knows when gigs like that will be starting back up again? I mean, they'll be the last ones back, the ones of that scale.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't suppose an arena with socially distanced audience would be too nice. With just, I don't know, whatever, like
I know.
500 people in a 1,500 seater.
Yeah, but I mean, definitely. People say comedy is they say there's no connection when it's full and it's in an arena, let alone if you're in an arena with 300 people.
Yeah.
But they weren't all arenas I did with Ricky. I mean, I should make that clear. Certainly in the UK, we mainly played in sort of theatres, sort of larger theatres.
All right. And do you feel you have to use the bigger stage more?
What, like moving around it in terms of?
I guess just moving around it. Yeah, I guess if there's a massive amount of space either side that you feel you should.
I only feel I should use it more in terms of making sure I'm looking at everyone and giving everyone a chance to see my glory. But really, it's, at the end of the day, it's still just stand up, and you could have a great gig just stood there doing nothing, or you can be like Lee Evans and run back and forth all night and smash it. There's a million ways to do it. Some of the super big ones, there's screens,
Oh, right.
With your face, which is, I never really got used to that. I never got used to, I don't know. But it's been a very cool thing it's very cool. They're cool memories I've got as a comedian that most people don't really know of. To be able to have played the places I've played is pretty exciting. Cool.
How did that come about then? How did Ricky Gervais get in contact?
It was just luck. It was like anything. It was just a bit of luck. I was we had the same manager very briefly, and he was doing warm-ups for his last tour, Humanity, and he always does warm-ups with other acts, other comedians. And someone pulled out on the day about 4 hours before of one of these warm-ups, and I didn't have a gig. I was nearby, and they said, "Will you just go and do 10 minutes?" And then me and Ricky got on, and then I didn't hear anything with him for 6 months. And then he was doing some David Brent live shows, which Doc Brown, who normally opens for him, was in the show because he was in the David Brent film. So he was in the show. And so they said, "Well, would you like to do these 2 shows?" It was just 2 shows. And of course I said yes, and it was great. And then basically every 6 months or so after that, I would get called in because Doc Brown was making a film or a TV series or something.
Right.
And then it just slowly snowballed. It wasn't
nice.
Yeah. It's one of those things in showbiz. It's just sometimes you just happen to be at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and you're ready for that.
Yeah.
And you did a part in Afterlife as well from that, was it?
Yeah, it was great. He called me up and he said he was making a new show and he needed someone to play a terrible comedian. And I was the only man for the job.
Okay.
But that was a really fun experience. I'd never really done anything like that, you know. You turn up and no, it was I enjoyed that. At least I got to play something that I knew how to be, you know.
And did you worked with Doug Stanhope as well? Toured with him? Or?
I did. I opened for him on one of his dates a couple of years ago. Yeah, on one of his dates, a guy I knew was booking his tour, and he had different supports throughout.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was asked to do, because I'd done a bit of tour support, I think, for people like Ricky before. They said, "Would you like to do the Manchester date?"
Right.
And like Stanhope was like, when I was starting out, he was one of my idols, man. I think he's so great. And it was a pleasure. Just turned up, did the show, and got to watch Doug Stanhope for free. I mean, that was the best bit. Was just got to watch him.
Yeah, he's incredible. He is incredible.
I think he's right up there. Like the pace that he writes, the turnover of material. I mean, he must have done an hour and 45 the night I opened for him. Really? And it was a brand new tour, and then he was touring a brand new show, I think less than 18 months later, with another new hour and a half. I mean, I mean, that's what he does. And the quality is so high. He's so consistent.
Oh my God, that just makes me want to start writing immediately after this.
It makes me want to put my head in the oven.
And Bill Burr as well. That was a Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah, that was a great one. Those are my big three. Those are the big three supports I've done. I think were those three. The Albert Hall one, that was mental, because it was the same producer of Ricky's tour was producing this tour, and because I'd opened for Ricky, I had to submit some clips to Bill Burr, and then I was told about 5 days beforehand, you've got the gig. And it was better like that, because it doesn't have a chance to creep up on you. You're sort of immediately, you know what you're doing. I mean, it's an amazing. I mean, it was sort of indescribable, really. I'd never been to the Royal Albert Hall in my life. Yeah. So the first time I was there, I was on that stage doing a sort of sound check and looking at the room, and it's so unlike any other venue on earth, and it's so. I mean, I did 20 minutes, and there was never a point where I settled into it. I mean, I'll tell you that right now. There was no point where I forgot that I was at the Royal Albert Hall. I was there for the whole time I was on stage. I was like, fucking hell, I'm playing the Royal Albert Hall. And it was, it went pretty well. So, yeah, I feel really lucky, really lucky.
Yeah. Were you really nervous before you went on?
Yeah, that one I was particularly nervous. Particularly. Because I've never met Bill Burr. I met him a bit before the show, and he was a really sound guy. And then I went to the side of the stage, and the lights went down, and the crowd go crazy. They don't even know there's a support act.
Right.
But it was also a sort of, I think it was probably a bit of a light switch moment for me, where I thought, well, no matter what else happens after this is, I'm up on, no matter if going into comedy is a bet or a gamble, then I'm always going to be up on the casino, because I got to play the Royal Albert Hall. Yeah, that's how I try and view it anyway. Oh, and also that night I got given a poster. Bill signed this poster and wrote this lovely message on it. And during lockdown, when it was starting to look like stand-up might never, being a professional comedian, looked like the job was, is not ever going to be what it was, which hopefully isn't the case. But I pulled this poster out because I never liked hanging anything up about stand-up in my house. I always wanted to stay away from it. But I got it framed, and the weird thing about this job is you don't get any. There's no mementos really. The gigs exist in a vacuum. But I thought, well, I've got this poster, and that at least 50 years that'll prove to someone that I was a comedian.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And have you toured in North America on your own then? Have you?
No, I did a solo show in New York in December, because I was just over there for a few days. Right. But I've gigged in Canada a lot because my wife's from there, and so whenever we go over and visit, I do shows in Canada. So I've but it usually just club gigs. But really, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, would you like to gig more in the States and Canada, I suppose?
Well, Canada, I do it. It's always useful to have the option to run away to another country, especially when your one is about to collapse.
So you can run around, and COVID's kind of just ahead of COVID.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Yeah. Stay one step ahead. I mean, have you done any shows in the States or in Canada or anything like that?
Yeah, I have. Not clubs though. Like I've done Irish clubs. I've not done.
Okay.
Have I done? Well, I've done the odd comedy club, and festivals that were like. But it's great. I mean, material mostly works,
Mm. I just find it feels so. I don't know why I find it feels different. It feels like the laughs are different, and I don't know. It's weird.
Stand-up comedy is an American art form, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it started in America way back in the 50s and stuff. Whereas over here, I think we were doing more vaudeville,
Yeah, we were like Neanderthal men, freaking running around singing songs off washboards, and they had like Mort Saul and Lenny Bruce, and
yeah. I mean, they love our sketch comedy, and I mean, obviously Monty Python, they went crazy for that and all that.
Yeah, I also think that the British and Irish stand up has really caught up as well. I mean, I do think we shouldn't undersell ourselves. I think the scene here is so good, and the stuff you go to Edinburgh and you see like the Aussies and the Canadians and the Irish and the Brit comics who go there. Like, it's as good as anywhere, I think. I really do think so.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's far more a healthier scene, I think, here. I think in America, if you haven't made it, it's a struggle, I would imagine, because the money's not that good. In a lot of the small clubs, when you start now, you have to pay to perform and bring.
Can you even imagine?
And bring 5 people, and there's a drinks minimum for them. They have to at least have 2 drinks each, which is a lot for an American to drink. So
yeah. Can you? I don't know. Do I know 5 people well enough that I would say you have to come and get a bit rat-assed because of for the sake of my dream?
And that's when you're starting out, so they're probably not that good. Do you know what I mean? That's
yeah. They're probably doing 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. So I think we're better off here, definitely.
100%. And also the distances are just so vast.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you're not one of the big headliners, I think it is hard to make a living, because also Britain and Ireland, you can just drive. You say you can just drive to the gig, drive home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a drive over there between gigs is 7 hours.
Up to at least 7 hours. Yeah, and what I've heard anyway, I don't know, they're getting like $200, no accommodation, no expenses, and a 7-hour drive there and back. Like, fuck.
Yeah,
and
they don't get the chances that we get to go. And we've gigged in Belgium, and how easy it is for us to go to other countries. And
yeah. I know it's. But then, of course, if you make it in America, it's huge. It's just huge.
Yeah. Well, that's the other side of it, isn't it?
Yeah. And did you recorded an album, is a stand-up album?
That's right. Yeah. That was for a US label, actually. That helped. That was really great. It's called Support Act.
Yeah.
Support Act.
And is that how do you buy it? It's not on Spotify, I believe. No?
It is on Spotify now.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you look it up, it's on there. And but you can buy it on anywhere you want to buy stuff. You can buy it, but it is now on Spotify, so you can give it a listen. And there's actually a new one coming out quite soon, so that's good. Yeah,
I've listened to your podcast, which is hilarious. Where you what's called you read the Bible, but it's Sean McLoughlin and Elliot.
Sean and Elliot, yeah.
Sean and Elliot read the Bible. I mean, you don't literally read the Bible, but it's really good. That's great. It's really.
Oh, that's nice. We've been doing it so long that it's hard to even tell if it's good or not anymore. So it's nice to hear that because we went into it thinking, well, this is just going to be a slam dunk. You know, we're going to read these stories. We're going to make jokes about them.
Yeah.
And it's going to be great. But really, it's the Bible's got it's got some great famous stories in it, but there's a lot of boring, nothing like all the stuff they didn't teach you when you're a kid is pretty boring. It kind of doesn't make sense. But yeah, we're almost at the end now. We only got about 3 episodes left of that.
So do you actually read the various parts of the Bible that are coming up in the next podcast that you're going to do?
Yeah. We just do it a book at a time though. We don't want to give it our entire lives. We'll do it a book at a time. We've been doing it for a couple of years and spreading it out.
That's hardcore. I've tried reading some of the Bible and it doesn't make any. It's insane. A lot of it is insane, and other bits are quite boring because it's lists of things. You know?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, what it needs is a great editor. It needed a better editor because you could cut that book in half and it would have the same impact.
Yeah. Well, it's similar to what is it? Homer's The Odyssey, is it?
Yeah, the Odyssey. Yeah.
It probably came from oral tradition, and then someone wrote it down. And
that must be true. That must be true.
Yeah.
But all those books like Don Quixote and what's the other one? Beowulf and things like all those properly old novels or sort of epic poems.
Mm.
And they're just so long. And this is a time where they didn't even really have paper.
Yeah.
Paper. I just don't understand how they could be so long.
Yeah, but there was nothing else. There was no TV. There was nothing to watch. So I mean, just somebody who was able to read.
Yeah.
That was something they controlled the medium.
Yeah, that's their EastEnders, isn't it? That's their.
Yeah. So there was nothing else. So there was no Breaking Bad to go up against. Something like that.
God, can you imagine? Poor bastards.
It must have been shit.
Would have been so shit. I hate people who say we've got to go back to the past. It's shit.
Yeah. It was all I'd say was awful. Absolutely awful. Some fucking idiot who learned how to read but is a complete prick. Sitting there listening to his shit. And listening to other people going, he's great, isn't he? And you don't know his shit.
What is shit? This story is so boring. What the fuck are they on about?
But yeah, it's hilarious. It's really funny. Very funny.
Oh, it's got its moments, man. We've liked doing it, but I'm glad it's over. I'll be happy never to see this fucking book again in my life.
You're right. Yeah. And so, have you got any other thing planned then during this lockdown that will?
Nothing really. I mean, the gigs have been back over here. I've been lucky. I've had a fair bit of stuff to keep me busy. But like you, I feel like we're at the. I don't know when this is going to be going out, but I feel like we're at the point where it's about to all be shut down here again.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll see how we go. I don't know. I mean, I'm writing things. I'm trying to keep as busy as I can. Hey, maybe there'll be a good job for me in IT in January.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, on this Need to Know Comedy show, I always ask everybody if they could recommend another act that they've worked with, or they, just recommend another act that we could.
So people can check out their stuff and
check out their stuff, and maybe I could get them on here as well. It was Eleanor Tiernan recommended you, actually.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
She's great. She is so good. Yeah,
she is really good. Yeah. Yeah.
I did a show. I actually did one of my shows with her a few weeks ago in Battersea. Man, she really, she's got it.
Yeah, she's got it, and she's worked really hard over the years. So it's good to see things happening for her.
Yeah. Well, I guess a good guy to recommend would be like we were talking about albums, and a guy who released an album on the same label was Alfie Brown, and it was a really good album, and he's a good old friend, and he's a funny guy. So if people watching this want to listen to that album, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Lunatic, but he's just really smart, really bold.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I'll find that on Spotify as well. But I'll try and get him on here as well. Alfie Brown, brilliant. Well, it's been really nice talking to you, and hopefully we'll gig again in not just Belgium, but
not just Brussels, but all the lowlands.
Maybe even Antwerp. No. So thanks for chatting to me, Sean, and talk to you again. See you now. Bye.
Take care, Joe.